All right, we've got a couple more headlines. Nigeria is seeking the world to MSMEs and others. If you're trying to find out how your particular business can benefit from this, you've got to stick around, okay? Shatima inaugurates committee as federal government eyes $2.5 billion green economy opportunity. We'll be looking at that in just a moment, as well as, Nigeria's one-year treasury bill has been oversubscribed. Let's keep listening to find out just what that would look like for us as Nigerians. We've got manufacturers' exports jumped by 77% on weaker naira. It's not a happy news for naira at this point, but we'll be looking at that in just a moment. But before we go down to the headlines, we've got the business quote of the day.
Here is our business quote for the day.
And talking about the business quote for today, it's actually from Michael Lebois, who is a business author and a motivational speaker. And according to Michael, he says, a satisfied customer is the best business strategy for all. A satisfied customer is the best business strategy of all. So basically it's self-explanatory. This one we don't even know how to talk to customers are satisfied with your product or your service. What other marketing tool do you need as a business owner? They will be the ones to actually help you talk about your business.
And they always say word of mouth is really, really strong. It's a very, very important channel of transmitting information, of getting new clients as well. So in all that you're doing, ensure that your customer service is top notch. I always say this, right? Every single time you walk into a company or a business venture, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it's a spa, whatever, whichever company you walk into or business you walk into, the customer service makes you want to go back over and over again. There's this particular guy, Chimezi in Wuse Market.
Hey, Chimezi, you have entered radio.
Chimezi in Wuse Market.
What does he do?
He sells fabric. His customer service is impeccable. The moment you walk in, he has seats. He has extra seats.
Does he buy you guys water or something to make you feel cool?
Malt.
Where is Chimezi's shop?
See, I'm very specific about that because after walking in the sun don't hit, snack your head like this. You now go into his shop. And he sits down. He says, "Welcome, welcome." Before you even tell me what you want, sit down. Nicodem, bring this thing here. He will now drop the thing in front of you. Chilled.
Oh my.
Chilled. I think the fan. He will now position it. Is it too much? Is it okay? Okay, it's okay. And then before he will now start talking. Okay, let's look for the fabric. That he wants you to settle down. Your temperature should calm down. And
sometimes funny enough, do you know that's a way of guilt tripping you into buying something from him?
Yes, obviously.
Because you won't drink my mouth and say,
I will not buy.
Nah, please let me go and check the next shop. You just because you've drank his drink and you have received his AC and fan, you just have to buy.
You have to. I mean, it's the best business strategy because since then, every single person I know that wants to get fabric for men, I always share his number.
Okay, anyway, we'll talk about business. I think maybe when we're off the radio, I'll get to ask Gessie why she knows where they sell fabric for men. But let's get back to the story for today.
News,
the business news. Let's talk about, the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System stating that certain companies, OPay, the likes of Palmpay and others, have processed about 46.6 trillion naira transactions in 2023. OPay, Palmpay, and others processed 46.6 trillion naira transactions in 2023. Data which was released by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement Systems has revealed that licensed mobile money operators, including OPay, Palmpay, and 15 others, processed transactions valued at 46.6 trillion in just 2023 alone. And this came as the highest annual mobile money transactions in the country. And according to the NIBSS data, the 2023 transactions value represents about 140% increased compared to 19.4 trillion naira transactions recorded across mobile money platforms in 2022 alone. And the number of mobile money transactions also jumped by 326% in a year under review. In 2022, the volume of mobile transactions in the country stood at 714 million, whereas in 2023, a total of 3.04 billion mobile money transactions were recorded. Now, looking at this, this figure by the NIBSS, you'll be wondering what could be the driving forces for this. And of course, the surge in transactions on mobile money platforms, otherwise known as fintechs, that's what we know it is attributable to the technical glitches and itches Nigerians experienced on their banking apps early last year, when cash scarcity forced many to embrace online, transactions and banking. And the mobile money operators came to the rescue of many Nigerians at that time, as transactions on their platforms were swift and reliable and without any hitches. And this propelled, many bank customers to open accounts with this mobile money operators, which we call fintechs, for their daily transactions. So like freebies, you open an account, you can transfer for free without any transfer charges. And sometimes for the likes of OPay, when you open an account with them, for every transaction you make or any, especially when it has to do with buying data, they give you certain value back. So this made Nigerians jump on this fintech, and that's why we saw this amount of transactions.
I mean, looking at the situation, you have to understand that a lot of Nigerians at the time were frustrated with the way the banks were running their businesses. I mean, you would do transactions. Do you remember the cashless policy at the time? You would do transactions. Do you remember the cashless policy at the time when the former governor, Godwin Emefiele was still the governor at the time, and then there was that cashless policy just before we transitioned into next 2023. It was really hectic. You would go to the market and do a transaction, the person won't receive it until the next day,
and you've already left your money. You've left there.
So it was really, really hectic at the time because Nigerians were facing a lot of issues. They didn't have the cash, and they couldn't transfer via their bank apps. So here comes the mobile money operators, and they brought such relief for Nigerians. So you can't expect the cashless transactions not to increase after that particular experience. I mean, look at how juicy some of the incentives are, and then you can now use your names. Some of them you can use, you do not need to have some document, some very, very elaborate document. You don't need to bring your utility bill and all that just to open an account. It's the ease of doing business with them for a lot of Nigerians, and that's why there was that hike.
Anyway, as much as a lot of people criticized Godwin Emefiele for his policies at the time, in any ways it was beneficial to the more banks upgrade their system, because we were now asking questions that Nigerians can actually do a transfer, and in less than 1 second, in about 0 point something milliseconds, so bank, you people are frustrating us, and you people could make the process easier. And now you've seen that after that that process and that period, bank sat up, you make the transactions and you almost see it without stress. But
then again, that's notwithstanding that some of the mobile money operators, some of them are a bit untoward, and so you have to be very, very careful. There are still some people that have been speculating now, if these guys wake up and run away with your money, you have to be very, very careful. I'm not saying that they will.
Insured by the NCID. They are insured as well, and they are also licensed by the CBN.
Notwithstanding, Nigerians still have those concerns. But let's jump on another headline here, talking about Nigeria and the World Bank. Nigeria seeking the World Bank's support on economic recovery. Nigeria is seeking the World Bank's support on economic recovery. Anna Beard, the World Bank Managing Director of Operations, has met with the federal government authorities for talks on what she called an ambitious plan of government to steer the company and the the economy rather towards recovery, and what more support that Bretton Woods institution can avail the Africa's largest economy. Now, newsmen have understood that the ongoing talks are focused on macroeconomic reforms as well as Nigeria's social safety net programs, which the bank is hugely supporting, especially about this time. And she said that is the World Bank's MD of operations. She said she's come to Nigeria to have conversations and discussions over the coming days about this ambitious plan, and they've got 30 projects under implementation here in Nigeria, and it's an opportunity for them to take stock of the progress and performance of those programs, and then make sure that as the World Bank they provide all the support they can to Nigeria as Nigeria embarks on from external factors.
Every country will definitely need help at what point, or the other. Even Americans need help. They also owe as well, aside Nigeria. So, but the point is, when you need help, but constantly needing help shows that there is even a problem with you in the first place. We understand how volatile the economy is in the country at the moment, and we understand how the economy crunch is affecting the average Nigerian. I don't think it's a bad thing for Nigerians to actually seek support or help from the World Bank, but when we are being helped, what do we do with this help? That's the question we need to also ask ourselves and our leaders who have access to the help made by World Bank. And it's about time we start holding our leaders accountable. Don't ask for help, and when help is being given with certain conditions, we as the poor Nigerians will now be the ones suffering at the end of the day, or our children, our children's children. So we need to do better as a nation. And also, let's talk about the naira that has actually depreciated to about 1,500 naira to a dollar at the parallel market. The naira on Wednesday, which was yesterday at the close of business, depreciated to about 1,500 at the parallel section of the market. And the rate is a 3.45% decrease from the 1,450 per dollar recorded on Monday. And currency traders in Lagos, also known as the Bureau de Change operators, quoted the buying rate of the greenback at about 1,490 and the selling price at 1,500, leaving a profit margin of only 10 naira. And at the official window, the local currency appreciated by 1.05% to 1,418 naira to a dollar on Wednesday, from 1,433 naira to a dollar on Tuesday. And according to the data from FMDQ, they said a platform, the FMDQ is the platform that oversees official foreign exchange trading in Nigeria. They said the naira traded as high as 1,510 and as low as 896 naira 28 kobo, with a daily turnover of $203.93 million. So, looking at the depreciation of the naira, this is one news we'll always get to talk about today. Guessing.
Well, we're looking at the naira depreciating, and hopefully some of the reforms that the CBN is embarking on will help stabilize. We talked about 7,000. EFCC is bringing out 7,000. It's 7,000 man task force rather to help fight dollar racketeering, and at this point in time we're hoping that would help, but even economists are saying that it wouldn't do a lot in the long run to help the fight against the naira to the dollar at this point in time. But hey, let's watch and see how all this plays out, because the government is always saying that they're working, that things could have been worse, and we want to take their word for it that things could have been worse. Let's see just how far this government can push to make sure that things are better than it could have been.
Okay, still talking about business story. Let's talk about the Nigerian Treasury bill, where the rate has jumped to about 19% per annum, as CBN is now targeting exchange rate stability. The 364-day Treasury bill's stop rate spiked to about 19% per annum, the first clear signal that the central bank was moving towards a hawkish monetary policy. And the 182-day and 91-day bills also rose to 18% and 12.2% respectively. And the rate hike is seen as a major monetary policy, move aimed at fighting the depreciation of the naira and sucking out, the excess supply to combat galloping inflation. And at the last auction on the 29th of January, that was sometime last month, the interest rate for these maturities were recorded at about 5% for the 91-day bills, 7.15% for the 182-day bill, and then 11.54% for the 364-day bill, respectively. And it has been reported that that the central bank was likely to offer a higher interest rate for treasury bills, a move seen as a way to stifle the depreciation of the naira. And so far, a total of 1 trillion was on offer, but was oversubscribed as investors staked a whooping 2.13 trillion. The one-year bill on offer for 600 billion naira recorded a massive 1.8 trillion naira subscription, out of which the central bank sold $908.7 billion. So we've seen an oversubscription of the treasury bill so far, and of course we've seen the interest rate jump to about 19% per annum. And it's a good one, as the CBN is doing all the
billion naira to MSMEs and others. BOI is set to give out 200 billion naira to MSMEs and others. The federal government has entrusted the Bank of Industry with the role of serving as the executing agency for a substantial 200 billion naira fund designed to bolster businesses across Nigeria. Now, this initiative, spearheaded by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, comprises 3 distinct funds. That's the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme, the FGN MSME Intervention Fund, and the Federal Government of Nigeria Manufacturing Sector Fund. Each of them are aimed at addressing diverse needs within the business ecosystem. Now, in a statement from the BOI, it is said that among these funds, the PCGS, that's the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme, stands out as a significant effort to support eligible nano business owners with a dedicated 50 billion naira grant scheme. Now, listen closely. These three distinct funds have been grouped based on the kinds of businesses the size of your business, right? So we have the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme. It is eligible for nano business owners, small business owners. If you know nano is the tiniest one. There is macro, micro, and nano. Nano is the smallest one in this description, right? So you have nano businesses are the ones that are supported by the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme. This targeted financial assistance is poised to benefit a minimum of about 1,000 beneficiaries per local government area. Simeon, that's huge. We're having 10,000 beneficiaries per local government area. That is 774 local government areas times 1,000 people.
Looking at this 200 billion naira that will be given to MSMEs is a good one. The Bank of Industry have been doing all it can, to ensure that, somehow the economy of Nigeria is being revamped to an extent. And of course, we all know that, it's not surprising that we know that the bank, the chairman of the Bank of Industry is actually Nigerian. So he's doing all he can as well to actually help the Nigerian case. Now, looking at this money that will be given to the MSMEs, the question is, how will these funds be disbursed? They said 10,000 subscribers will be given, from each local government across the country. So now, how will they access this 10,000 people, and how will they, partake in accessing this money? Because I know that if this money gets to them, it will actually help the businesses, whether it's nano businesses, whether it's micro businesses, or even macro businesses across the country. And to an extent, it will also help revamp the economy of the country. Anyway, it's a great one from the Bank of Industry, and we want to see that pull through.
I mean, at this point in time, you have to, this PCGS, that is the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme, is looking at supporting small businesses. If you're a trader, if you're a food vendor, if you're if you own an ICT business, you own transporters, you have artisans as well, you have creatives as well. If you do social media, you create content on social media. This particular grant is specific to nano, small, very, very small businesses. So you might want to find out just how to access these grants. Your businesses shouldn't be struggling at this point, because we're seeing the BOI, the federal government entrusting the BOI with the role of serving as the executing agency. And thankfully it's the BOI. If it were maybe another ministry or another committee that was set up by the federal government to ensure that these grants are given, you might be hearing some kind of funny things. But thankfully it's the BOI that will be executing this particular
and we
thing.
know that the BOI will do because just as you mentioned, if you enter other people's hands, you will start hearing stories that touch.
Yes,
and we hope that Lashopo Lucy will do all he can to ensure that, being the executive agency, they do this appropriately. And quickly away from that, let's move into more stories. And right now, House of Reps are claiming at the moment that 4 banks in the country have about $5 billion excess FX. And they're now asking that the CBN probe the non-compliance of these banks, failing to, comply with the directive of the CBN. I think it was the 31st of January that we got report that the CBN have actually, ordered all banks to sell all its excess dollars. And the deadline given to them was the February 1st, 2024. And Nigerians were hoping that all the banks would have sold their excess dollars, basically to stem inflation and, of course, ensure we have, monies in circulation. But just yesterday, we saw the House of Reps asserting that 4 banks are holding approximately $5 billion in surplus foreign exchange, signaling concerns about the volatility in Nigeria's foreign exchange market. And responding to this, the House directed the Joint Committee on Banking Regulations and Banking Institutions to undertake an investigative hearing into the failure of these banks, to adhere to central bank's directive regarding the net open position limits and all of that. So looking at this, according to them, records show that this bank, GT Bank, Zenith Bank, UBA, and First Bank have a cumulative excess holding of over $5 billion as of January 2024. And the only fully compliant bank is Stanbic IBTC, according to the statement by the rep member, which has made all FX in his reserve available to his clients. But the other 4 banks are yet to do so, according to them, and they are to answer to why they are yet to dispose of their excess FX and their dollars.
All right, still affecting the economy, we're having manufacturers' exports jump 77% on weaker naira. Manufacturers' exports jumped 77% on weaker naira. 3 major manufacturers in the consumer goods industry have seen their export sales almost double within a year, largely on the back of liberalization of the foreign exchange. Statement of 2 multinationals and a local company shows that their combined revenue from exports surged by 77.4% to 15.5 billion in 2023, up from 8.7 billion naira in the previous year, when their revenue rose by 3.92%. Companies like you've got Unilever, Cadbury, Okomo Oil Palm PLC. These are the companies that have, benefited from this surge. You have experts saying that the forex reform, which has weakened the currency by more than 60%, has made the Nigerian goods cheaper for other countries, especially from Africa, that have stronger currencies. The increase we are seeing in exports is a natural consequence of the devaluation that occurred for other reasons or other factors, not deliberately caused by the government to increase exports. This is according to the president and chairman of the Council of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now, basically, he's saying that countries often devalue their currencies so that they can boost their exports. But in Nigeria, in our own case, that's not the case. We are not deliberately devaluing the naira. He's talking about some of the issues that are occurring in the FX markets. He's saying that the forex reform that was implemented last June is a part of, it's led to a large devaluation of the naira. While the naira is continuing to depreciate, you have the West African francs, CFA. You have the legal tender in Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger and Togo. These are West African countries that we are wrapped around. That's their legal tender. So as the naira continues to depreciate, theirs continue to jump. So that makes some of the goods produced in Nigeria cheaper than in other African countries.
Okay, looking at that report, we've seen it. The expectation surge has increased. Is a good one, but we just hope that this actually has a ripple effect on the economy of Nigeria. And quickly away from that, let's also talk about Disney Plus. All the way, let's move abroad for a bit, away from the Nigerian business space. And according to reports, Disney Plus has actually lost 1.3 million subscribers and falls short by $300 million in revenue. Disney Plus has actually experienced a decline of 1.3 million subscribers in the final quarter of 2023, following a substantial price increase introduced